Hey guys, Desolator Magic here. I mean, obviously, like, who are you expecting? In fact, I bet your magical psychic powers also let you know that this is going to be a spoiler video for Throne of the Eldraine for the September 19th release of the spoilers. Well, you might as well just go buy a lottery ticket then. First up, we've got Cavaliere Immortale or something like that. That's Italian, man. Homie, don't play that. Although I probably could have guessed that it's Deathless Knight, because that's what it is. Anyway, it's a quad hybrid. I lost count of how many we have of these, probably 10. It's a creature and skeleton knight subtype. It has haste, and whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, return Deathless Knight from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, I hate stuff that keeps coming back over and over and over, but for 4 mana and it's only a 4/2, could they just send it to the battlefield? I mean, gaining life ain't the easiest thing in the world, and I don't see the color white on this card. Just saying, but anyway, yeah, I guess you could cast it over and over and over, so you might get like a creature caster creature ETB effect. Either that or who cares, get a death effect. I mean, you could probably do something creative with this. I'm not sure what until the dust settles after rotation, but this should be an interesting card to keep your eye on. Next up, another very interesting common land cycle. It's Dwarven Mine. It's a land mountain, so it's fetchable. And it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more mountains. And then when it enters the battlefield untapped, create a 1/1 red dwarf creature token. Red Dwarf was a great show. Hey, you know what they should do in this Dwarven Mine is take that 4-cost triple red guy that's completely going to ruin standard and throw him in that chasm. Hopefully it's a very, very long way down. So anyway, this is barely playable. I mean, 3 or more mountains specifically, and red decks tend to be fast, although not so much as of the release of Throne of Eldraine, which I can appreciate. So this will go in a slow red deck, but only a slow mono red deck, and then all you get out of this is a 1/1. Unless you're going Dwarf Tribal, that ain't much, but if you are very, very certain that you can get this out with accompanying mountains, I guess why not play it, but it's pretty weak. Next up, the very unusual card, Festive Funeral. I don't know, I don't see a 50-50 raffle or some chicken wings or a paintball tournament. I mean, when I die, y'all better do it up big. I'm just throwing that out there. Y'all show up to my funeral dressed like that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to slap the shit out of you. I'm just saying. So anyway, this is a 5-cost black instant, and target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. So, pretty effective. You could take down an indestructible, but 5 though. 5 is kind of high. But then again, you wouldn't really want to cast this early game, nor would you be able to, so maybe that's like fitting. You'd want to kind of pack your graveyard first. So I guess in a graveyard synergy deck that wastes a lot of time and gets to a high turn count, I guess throw it in, but this really isn't great. I think it's one of those like last-ditch effort potential removals for draft and pre-release. I don't think this is really intended for constructed. Next up, Foreboding Fruit. What is it with fruit in this set? Like, there's like poison apples and turning people into apples, and now there's an evil pear. Watch out, everybody, evil pear. Then they had this weird glowing fruit, and then they got beans that turn you into a giant green mech suit. Okay, if you go to Mexico, don't drink the water. If you go to Eldraine, don't eat the food. So this is a 3-cost black sorcery, and target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. And then Adamant, if at least 3 black mana were spent to cast a spell, create a food token. Okay, I mean, I don't think there's a black food deck, but okay. So this is just your typical read the bones or something similar. I mean, we've seen this a million times. I gotta say though, 2 cards for 3 mana and 2 life, that ain't bad. And if you get the food, you can eventually pay 2, tap it, sack it, and gain 3 life. So this is actually a pretty good card. Next up, Oprah's back. It's Happily Ever After. This is a rare 3-cost white enchantment, and when Happily Ever After enters battlefield, each player gains 5 life. That's each player, and draws a card. Okay, things ain't gonna go happily ever after if you give your opponent a free card and 5 life. But then the card goes straight to hell from there. So at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control, and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. Oh great, I love alternate win conditions, you guys know that. This is just Approach of the Second Sun all over again, with single win-the-game cards. We're literally the card by itself, not a combo, not synergy between, no, just the card. One card can win the game. It promotes people to run 40 cards of control and then this horse shit. And the whole deck is either hit or miss. It does nothing, not one damn thing other than draw cards and shut your opponent down. It's the rudest, unfriendliest, most drive people away from FNM stupidity you could ever possibly imagine. And Wizards still, even after the absolute shit show that was Approach of the Second Sun, they still insist on printing crap like this. And this isn't even a one shot. You can just drop this into play and leave it there. This is ridiculous. These cards can only go two ways. One, worthless, useless, 25-cent bulk crap, unplayable, impossible to attain, just stupid waste of time, and then nobody touches it and it's a waste of a rare slot. Or absolute menace that everybody hates, everybody calls for it to get banned, it's overpowered, it's tier 1, everybody just can't stop it, they got to build their whole deck around it, and hopefully Wizards eventually bans it, which they never did with Approach of the Second Sun, even though they should have. So between those two possibilities, where's the upside? Where's the benefit? Where's the interesting mix-up of gameplay? How does this benefit anyone anywhere that plays the game? I'd love for Wizards to answer that for me. This card is absolute bullshit, and they need to stop printing anything that even resembles this. At least one single counterspell can instantly shut this garbage down. Next up, we've got the cover of an 80s soft rock album with Husbringer. It's a 2-cost creature, fairy, rare, flying, lifelink, 1/2, great, and creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. Oh, this almost makes up for Oprah getting married to that asshole in Ruining Standard. Hey, Agent of Treachery, kiss my ass. Hey, stupid obnoxious aristocrats deck where it doesn't matter if I leave your creatures in play or kill them, you're gonna win anyway. Shove this card up your ass. They should have made this indestructible, hexproof, and held protection from everything. You know what, they could have just put protection from tier 1 degenerate assholes on it. That, I would have been fine with that. It's a little subjective, you might have to get a judge call on it, but I think that would really solidify this as shutting down entire decks. There needed to be an answer for Agent of Treachery. In my opinion, a ban is the answer to it. But these loop decks, these ETB decks, these stupid replication ETB shit with the Yarok thing, there is no way currently in the game to stop that. I play pure control decks online and I still can't shut those decks down. They just draw too many cards. Thank God we've got a 2-cost answer to them in a color that most people play. But they should have made it a 0/7. I mean, they need something. It's a 1/2. Like anything. A strong gust of wind will blow this thing away. If you're playing white, put this in your sideboard. I don't care if it's a $5 card. Put it in your sideboard. Put 4 of it in. So next up, we've got Lectwain-Gargoyle. Oh boy, it's a 0/3 for 1, and it's in German. I just realized that. Well, unsurprisingly, I don't know what Flugfähigkeit means, so I'm going to go to mythickspoiler.com and figure out what's going on. All right, let's see. It says you pay 4 and it gets +2, +0, and flying until end of turn. Wow, how exciting. So actually, I mean, in any deck, this is a 1-drop immediate end to combat for a couple turns because they're probably swinging for 2 damage. And then late game, you can pay kind of too much. I mean, would you really pay 4 mana multiple times just to hit them for 2? Yeah, if you're desperate, so it's an option, and I like options. So this is actually a pretty good card. Unfortunately, it is an artifact creature. Well, that means you can dump counters onto it for free. You know damn well which card I'm talking about, so I give it a big old thumbs down. Unfair broken crap, sorry, Steel Overseer. Next up, Lochain Paladin. It's a 3/2 for 4 with Menace, which is always fun, I love Menace. And it has Adamant. If at least 3 black mana were spent to cast a spell, whatever the hell it says, Lochain Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Well, 4/3 Menace is even better than 3/2. I kind of like this, I just don't think a 3/2 Menace creature for 4 is all that great, but in a Humans deck or a Knights deck, this would actually be pretty good. Especially good for a common. Next up, okay, seriously, it's like it's a game to see how shitty these people who Wizards sent these spoilers to can release them. Whose ass did they pull this out of before they took a shot of it? Like, what the hell? Now, I don't mean to tell these spoiler people how to do their jobs, but, fun tip for you, maybe try taking a picture of it from the same room that it's in. Okay, so apparently this is spoiled by Weekly MTG, and that's a link to Twitch. Is that an official Magic thing? I've never heard of it. I don't know. Who knows? I think the fault is whoever took this screenshot, and by screenshot I mean they pulled out their cell phone and took a shot of their screen. There's a print screen button on the keyboard, guys. I mean, Twitch video quality is a dumpster fire, but it ain't this bad. Like, holy shit, just take a screenshot and paste it into Photoshop. Hell, paste it into MS Paint. So anyway, if I kind of squint, I think this says Malevolent Noble. It's a 2-cost 2/2 human noble, and if you paid some amount, you can sacrifice an artifact or another creature, put a 1/1 counter on Malevolent Noble. Oh, good, an aristocrat's enabler. Cool. At least we got that fairy to shut this bullshit down. Well, not directly, but like the deck archetype. So next up, it's Merfolk Secret Keeper, a 1-cost 0/4. Hello, Merfolk Wizard. It has a 1-cost sorcery speed adventure called Venture Deeper, and target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Oh, good, it's just Wall of Lost Thoughts or whatever. It's just a mill enabler, and it's a Merfolk card. It's like they designed this just to piss me off. Screw Mill, screw Merfolk, screw this card. Next up, Moonlit Scavengers. It's a 6-cost 4/5 Merfolk Rogue, and when it enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, and there's not that one fairy in play, or you control an enchantment, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Wow, that's useless. What an overpriced piece of crap. They were totally lying when they said this card was lit. Next up, finally, a clear digital copy, Mystic Sanctuary. It's another crappy common land that probably does something stupid. You know what it does. It's an island, and if it enters untapped, if you got 3 more islands, whatever. And then if it enters untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top your library. Okay. I mean, I hate spell resurrection, but when you have to burn your next draw on it, that almost makes it fair. I still have PTSD from Torrential Gearhulk. That card should have been banned about 13 different times. So screw it and anything like it. Next up, Reaper of Night. It's a 7-cost 4/5, but it has an adventure, which I've heard Wizards is claiming is not a super type or a subtype or mechanic. It's just a word that they strapped to a card, I guess. I don't know. They made up something new with this just because they know that if they give it a super type or a subtype, it's going to screw with a bunch of other cards. So I don't know what the final decision is on that, but basically they're just like, it's a thing we made up. Deal with it. Okay, sure. So anyway, it has Harvest Fear, which is a 4-cost sorcery, and target opponent discards 2 cards. So that's literally just Mind Rot, and then whenever Reaper of the Night attacks, if defending player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, it gains flying until end of turn. So that kind of works out nicely. I still think 7's a little high, but a 4/5 flyer ain't no joke, and then to have a Mind Rot card mixed with a creature instead of just, oh, I need one or the other crap. And then remember, you can cast it for either side. And after you use the adventure part, it goes to exile, and then you can cast it for its creature cost of 7 later if you want. Or immediately if you want. Hey, if you got the mana. So this is actually a really important card. My black-red Burn It All deck or Melt deck, either one, where it just nukes the player's hand. I don't want to pull a Mind Rot late game, and I don't want to pull an overpowered creature early game, because I won't have the mana for it. So the fact that this is both is highly significant, so do not underestimate this card, and the artwork is totally amazing. Next up, Resolute Rider. It's another 4 hybrid human knight uncommon thing, and it's a 4/2, and it has hybrid abilities. If you pay 2, Resolute Rider gains lifelink until end of turn, always appreciated, especially with 4 attack. And then if you pay 3, it gains indestructible until end of turn. Oh my gosh. This card is insane. I mean, I kind of really hate the fact that they put indestructible as the second part, because that stupid 1/1 that becomes a 3/1 when it swings, and then you just nuke 4 of your life and it's indestructible, that is very ban-worthy at this point. There are so few ways to shut down that stupid freaking card, and it does so much damage. And then on top of it, it's a vampire, so they've got the life gain to deal with it. Clearly, Wizards is not playing that out well enough. So this, instead of life, is just mana, which you have a lot more of than life. So this card's actually kind of messed up, and I kind of don't like it, but I really like that first ability. So they almost printed a fun, good, enjoyable card, and then completely screwed it up. What else is new? Next up, Return to the Wild Speaker, which I don't know what's going on here, but he seems a lot smaller. That's Garruk, by the way. It's a 5-cost rare green instant, and you can choose one of the 2 following modes. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Ooh, that's a couple cards. You don't even have to sack one either. That's actually kind of a violation of how green works, but okay. Well, it is, okay, it's creature dependent. They're bending the rules. The second mode is non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Holy hell. So anyway, I think they shrunk Garruk and turned him less black. There's no other way to phrase that. And I guess the curse is indeed broken, like it says in the flavor text. So that's interesting. So we'll probably see more of him. So this is quite possibly the most overpowered card I've seen in green so far, but it's still pretty green and somewhat fair, so whatever. Next up, we've got Rimrock Knight. Upon reading it, I'm very certain that I've already spoiled this one, but this is just the new frame, so ooh, fancy frame. Let's move on. Next up, we've got a 1-cost Halberd, which, come on, Halberds are like the most powerful weapon in D&D, XL3, pretty much every game ever. You're just going to toss it out there for 1? I mean, come on. But it is equipped 5, so I mean, there's that. So when it enters the battlefield, though, attach it to target non-human creature you control. So actually, it has equipped 0. And then equipped creature gets +2/+1, which is pathetic considering that's a halberd. They ruined it. They took my favorite weapon from XL3 and they ruined it. Oh, now, by the way, I don't mean to bury the lead on this one. FYI, that's not a halberd. At best, that's a spear. I don't even know what you call it. A pokey stick. It's just a pokey stick. Halberds are 6-foot pole weapons with an axe handle on the end, basically. Don't ask me what the difference between that and a bardiche is. I have no idea. I think halberds have 2 heads. Maybe I do have an idea. But yeah, that's just a bunch of teeth. Like, just get out of here with that. So yeah, if you equip this to something and it dies, you are probably never equipping it again. So this is crap. I mean, then again, 1 mana though. But anyway, next up, Sage of the Falls. Oh boy, more blurry crap. It's a 2/5 for 5 Merfolk Wizard. I hate Merfolks, hope they'll die. Whenever Sage of the Falls or another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card if you do discard a card. Oh. It went from card advantage to looter real quick, but still, these stupid little effects are graveyard packers and they're degenerate combo enablers. So I still hate this card. I just hate it slightly less than if they just left it at draw a card, because that would be messed up. Next up, we've got the greatest card ever, so tiny. So this is a 1-cost blue aura with flash, enchant creature. It gets -2/-0, and then it gets -6/-0 instead, as long as its controller has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. Oh, this is hilarious. So early game, okay, shut down the biggest threat, stop a Death Toucher, stop a Lifelinker, cool. Late game, stop the biggest threat in the deck, which they probably brought out with more mana, which is why they have more things in the graveyard. So it scales. Also, the fact that you can do this in the middle of combat with flash is hilarious. I love this card. Next up, Thrill of Possibility. It's a 2-cost instant, and as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card and then draw 2 cards. So more of that. You do have to discard the card up front, though, instead of drawing first, which is very red as opposed to blue. Blue, of course, commonly does that in the opposite order, but I still think this would be pretty good in the right deck. And that's it. So at least they printed a couple great equalizers and a couple great cards. Some kind of degenerate crap. Well, really just one specifically. Oprah coming in, ruining everything for everybody again. What else is new? So we'll have to see just how many cards get banned soon after the release of this awful set. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.